Hey there. So, this will be the first devlog for AV&V, a different project that moving to the forefront instead of the Monster Hunter like. And so I'll be covering the progress that I made in some of the initial setup and the scene creation or stage creation, uh, and some kind of thoughts and ideas about what the game will shape up to be. So, a inspiration for this game is Darkest Dungeon. When in Darkest Dungeon, you assemble a team, a ragtag team of misfits and flawed characters, and send them into dangerous and kind of maddening situations. Things that'll degrade their sanity. And so the idea is that it's a brutal game and that you have to manage things like stress on top of just health and stuff for characters. So with AV&V, we're going to do sort of similar. Uh, in this case, there will be less about stress and more about kind of mounting difficulty as an adventure goes on. Uh, AV&V will be a kind of it'll be a turn-based kind of dungeon crawler where you go on adventures with a team of characters. And so with this idea, I wanted to expand upon the idea of a overarching, like small but overarching plot lines for the player to experience, and then like they culminate in more and more adventures, and then the scenario's done and you get to go on another one with a potentially different group of characters, or they the ones that you did prior if they're in good enough shape to continue. And so thus it kind of keeps the continuity of how your characters are doing after the adventure, and is able to that then will dictate, well, can I send this guy on an adventure or not? So basically the adventures are going to be split up into a few different phases. The first will be the investigation phase, to where the the skills that your characters that you bring along have will give you clues and people to talk to. All of this is handled automatically in this regard. A bunch of events based off of how your characters roll. And then you'll be given clues on a few different dungeons that you can explore, and from there, you will then pick, which dungeon you want to explore. And so once you get to potentially the end of the dungeon, you might figure out that this wasn't the place you were supposed to go, and now your characters are kind of a little worse off for it. But now you've narrowed down the places where you have to go. Let's say, to not get into lore of the setting, let's say a dragon was harassing this town. So you would in the menu see, hey, here is this mission. Here's the quick rundown of it. Dragons are attacking our village, and we want you to deal with them. So the player then says, okay, sure, I think our guys are up to the task. You pick 4 of your adventurers who all have potentially randomized skill sets, but as they progress, you get to kind of put them in a direction. But you pick your guys and you go on the adventure. So you get to the town, you talk to the guy. This starts the negotiation phase, or your contact. This starts the negotiation phase, where you potentially use your people who are skilled with talking in order to get a better reward, get more information, get whatever you can, get people to help you in the dungeon, throwaway NPCs kind of thing. And then you do investigation, and so then that says, based off how well you do, you kind of get an idea of, well, are they in the cave or are they in the forest? Maybe those are the two that it generates as the things. Then you get into the dungeon. You pick, hey, I'm going to pick the cave. So then it generates some nodes for you to travel between in the dungeon, where there'll be kind of travel nodes which can have random encounters on them, like, a trap, a rock fall, or an actual trap or something like that, a treasure chest on the side of the path, a secret cache, that kind of stuff. And then you'll get into the stages. So you'll travel between stages. So the stages are, kind of where the turn-based combat happens in this situation. And so, this is the stage part is what I've been working on for this. I'll show off some of the blueprint work I've done with it. So basically, the game then generates a little set for you to do combat on. And so if we select the stage and see its camera, you'll see down here, this would be the view that you get of the stage. And so these tiles, this is a castle tile set that I've been working on. These tiles might have bonuses. For instance, I guess I'll not get on a tangent. So your guys on the left fight the guys on the right in a turn-based thing, rank-based. So melee targets have a hard or impossible time attacking ranged targets. In this case, though, once the melee is done with, like the guys in front are done with, you will be able to travel to the back line. Still on your side, but there might be a travel cost incurred to make the attack. So then, you do combat, your guys can be injured, their damage carries over into new encounters, and then you eventually win the battle, and you keep going through the dungeon, repeating this until you get to kind of the objective location, or the objective might be explore a certain amount of tiles in the dungeon, a certain amount of sets or stages in the dungeon. So, for getting the stages set up, if we go into our stages, we have a base stage, and some of this is placeholder, some of this is will be handled with more clever systems. So for instance, these are just objects I put in there because the two kind of entrances or sides of it will have also procedurally randomly generated set dressings. So this is the blueprint of what I had showed in the game display viewport. When it loads up, it will pick stuff based off the tile set. Again, this is a lot of placeholders. So it gets tile set data. Then it goes through and will set up it'll go through and set up the materials for the walls and the floor, like the background walls and floor, and then and this will also be a little more clever, gets all of the potential tiles that it can load. For each of them, it sets up a tile where it picks from a data structure, the tile data structure in systems. And so with this, these are a bunch of actor references to the different tiles that will be spawned in the positions for like tile 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So it picks a random option from this list, and I'll expand the number of possible tiles. If the tile was tile base, then it wouldn't be able to spawn. It would be a blank slot that it would re-roll. So this says if it is tile base, and this not really pretty looking, but comes back to here, and basically so there can be tile sets that have less information on them. It then decides the tile and then spawns that tile. So each of the tiles is a little kind of just a little chunk of what would be the geometry of the thing that the player is exploring on the stage, fighting with it on the stage. So each of these then, are one of those. You might have pillars and platforms and ladders that help you get up and down faster. The whole idea with the verticality is to allow for kind of you to say, okay, well, my archer, I want to be out of the combat, or maybe well, yeah, it would benefit greatly ranged characters. Meanwhile, having options for melee characters to be able to get into range. That is primarily what I have got finished for now. I've been working on things like making sure that everything is as modular and works. Yeah. I have reused a bunch of assets for now from the Monster Hunter-like game. Eventually those will diverge greatly, but as it stands, it helps me get to testing and, having something to work with. So yeah, thank you very much for watching.